Burrows.
Yes.
Laughlin, Moreno,
Yes.
Shield, Bargan.
Yes,
We have a forum.
All right, can I get a motion to approve the agenda, please?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
And a second.
I will second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Carries. Communication and visitors. This is the time when community members can make public comments to the board. This, please be aware the board cannot comment on anything said that during this time. This is the only time in the agenda reserved for open public comment. Please limit comments to 4 minutes. Seeing no authority for that, go ahead and move on to central administration.
2 fundraising requests, one for student council, junior high student council candy sales, and then one for IJAG and NHS crush incarnations. Recommend to approve as presented.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Carries.
One overnight trip for state wrestling, February 15th through the 18th.
All right. Any questions on that one? Good.
I'll move for approval.
I'll second it.
I think this one doesn't need approval. for
Yeah, I
the-
think, aren't we waiting for the complex one? Or,
The
See.
complex one will,
yeah.
okay, but they're individualized.
Oh,
Sometimes it's the whole central administration, but because there's itemized ones, we have to kind of break through them. Athletic complex change order number 2.
This is what I believe was mentioned quite a while ago. This is from out at the groundwork and where they relocated the water pipes. I believe they felt it'd be best to install a valve, a shut-off valve in a certain location where they relocated a pipe so that they wouldn't have to then, if they ever had to, for whatever reason, shut the water off to that area, it wouldn't affect nearly as many people or like our high school or other areas. So that's what the valve is we're talking about there.
Okay, so the recommendation is to approve the change orders for 4491.78 to add the water valve.
I'll make a motion to approve this change order.
I'll second it.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Carries. All right, so I will open the public hearing for the 23-24 school calendar at 6:03 p.m. This is the time, I suppose, for the board to hear any public comments from the audience concerning the 23-24 school calendar. After comments are heard, then I will close the hearing. I suppose. If anybody has any comments? Okay. Any comments from the board? Questions or anything?
No, the fact that no one's here is probably good.
Yeah, and I will say, I did go to the last calendar planning meeting with the VLT, and I think it went really well. Everybody works with great decorum. I mean, most of them have done this for a decade or more, so pretty easy process. And there was some good healthy debate on, timing and trying to be really cognizant of vacations for students and how to manage that in a way that doesn't make it kind of disjointed in the sense that if you take a week to go wherever, you don't miss any school time for that. So they can kind of plan around the calendar pretty well. And then for teachers as well, being able to have time. That's great. So hearing nothing, we will go ahead and close the hearing at 6:04. So now it is, I guess, time for us to review and approve as the board.
Sorry.
And as Jake alluded to, is a pretty smooth process overall. Consisted of 2 meetings. Our district leadership team led the charge on this. And so we just review some different scenarios, start throwing ideas out there, and we put together a draft. Then they take that back to their building leadership teams and then review with their buildings, get feedback from their buildings. Then we come back, reconvene. That was the meeting that Jake was at, and then finalize our calendar. And this is what you have then now in front of you. One of the biggest changes is probably at the very beginning. If you see the 17th, it's highlighted there in yellow and blue. We're adding in a flex day. And the reason we did that is because our teachers are on a 193-day contract. And the goal is to end school and have the teachers out by May 31st. So students will be done May 30th, teachers on the 31st. And so we wouldn't have to come back in June. We ended up with 179 student days, still well over the hours. If you look at our hours, we're at 1123, state mandates 1,080 hours. So we're 43 and a half hours over the minimum, which is good. It's good to have some cushion there and be over that number. But that allowed us to then go to 179 with students, be done that last day in May, which then put our teacher contract down to 192. So we took that last day, that 193rd day or an extra day that we needed, put that on at the beginning as a flex day. So let's give our teachers the options of they can come in and work all day on that Thursday. They could come in early if they wanted to get the room ready, or they can flex it throughout the year, just make that time up. The other couple of items that are new, I guess, this year's calendar, if you go to November 17th, that will be a vacation day. So the 15th, 16th are conferences and work day. And then the high school asked if they could have a day between trimesters for just all their managerial tasks, getting their grades finalized, entered, etc. And so they will have the 16th to do some of that, and then if they need to on that day off on the 17th, there'll be a break in between there between trimesters. And then
That'd be for the whole district, not just.
that'll be
high school.
district wide, yeah. And this way we can still have our conferences, or evening conferences on 15th, 16th. And then teachers don't have to come back to work after 2 long nights, 2 long days, and evenings of conferences. And then the same is true of our February 28th, 29th, and 1st. That will be the end of the trimester, and then there'll be a day break between trimesters.
I think one of the other maybe notes there is also they're trying to be cognizant in March to have some actual, a pretty good week in there of instruction time before the next holiday week, going on spring break. So if you come back and you only got 1 or 2 days of the semester, I mean, you might as well throw those away. The kids aren't going to retain it. They're not going to be paying attention or whatever at the time. So give them a full week. They can really get into it, and then they'll retain it better for that.
Correct.
That comeback there.
And our spring break lines with EICC, Muscatine Community College, and then Iowa, University of Iowa.
All right, good job.
You took April Fool's Day off. Is there a reason?
It's my birthday.
I was like, you guys just wanted no shenanigans on that day. Okay, well, I respect that. This is definitely.
And that is generally they would take Good Friday.
Oh, okay.
The Friday before, and again, just to have 2 full weeks in there after spring break, and then break up, April a little bit to have that 4-day week instead of having it on the 29th, the week of March 25th through the 29th, just move it down 1 day. So there's a shorter week in April, gives you a little more time for the kids coming off of spring break, and you have them back in the classroom. So,
All right.
yep.
That makes sense.
And it just so happened to work out.
I know.
April Fools.
I know, that's pretty convenient.
Yep.
And the birthday.
Yeah, and the
Perfect.
birthday. Sounds like a reason to me.
All right, any questions, thoughts, concerns regarding the calendar? All right, I will entertain a motion to approve.
I'll move for approval.
In a second,
I'll second it.
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Carries. So then we've got board policies 503.1 to 504.32, 403.4 to 403.4 R1, and 902.10. Anybody had any questions off the top? I didn't see any emails regarding this front end.
I did, I was just curious about the radon. Do you have like the new construction? What are some of the things that they are doing for that in the new construction? like, I'm assuming it's like more ventilation for radon, I mean, is that what it is, or?
I
did you
cannot
just-
speak to that. I honestly do not know in our new area. In talking with Jeremiah, though, he is going to have our buildings tested. Even though the deadline is until the 2027,
Mhm.
he was gonna go ahead and do that right away, just to ensure that everything is good. And if
Yeah, I feel
not, then we can adjust
good.
right away.
Yeah, we're pretty fortunate. We have a lot of newer buildings, so
Yeah.
it should be. Yeah, I was just curious.
And with the new buildings, I mean, I think that's just part of natural building
Yeah.
code is the mitigation right out of the jump. So, and you're better off doing that than having to try to retrofit in the future.
I had just a question and a comment on the student expression and the locations. Is there anything that speaks to social media or
From this,
in our policies?
regarding student.
Yeah, this is like
usage.
written stuff, right? This
Yeah.
is all focused on written.
We do have our technology acceptable use and guidelines.
But that's just utilization with like issued laptops or Chromebooks and then inside the facilities, right? I mean, that's not, I don't think it's trying to overreach to the point where like if they're using their PC at home and they say something on their social media, like that's not, I don't think the intention of these, you know, I think that's outside of this expectation.
Okay. And then there's an emphasis on professional standards of English. I'm curious about that, and that also means Spanish.
I don't know how many publications we do have Spanish by the students.
You know.
I think they do. And do we have is it just the yearbook they write in, or do they have their own newspaper? They don't have a newspaper, do they?
No, thanks.
I don't think so. So it would just be any publication a student did would be through like the yearbook committee or something?
Yes, that's my understanding.
So my last comment is in the student activity program, I was glad to see academic requirements added to it. So that was great. When it talks about the responsibilities of performing and the risk of losing your eligibility. I think that's what that is alluding to. So I think that's good.
There has been that before, right? Like you do have to have a certain stand, like passing your passes to play sports or to be in activities.
Yeah, I think the, what is it, IHSA?
Yeah, it goes to
requires
the
minimum.
basic one, but we've
Yeah.
talked about expanding that, so
Yeah.
it's a little more stringent and known than just, you know, the broad stroke there. But it being in red here means that it wasn't in here, so,
Right.
yeah, so that's a good addition, is what I'm saying. And let's see here. And then again, in student good conduct role, it's like the principal and the athletic director are focused on that, which I think is good and important. Again, kind of linking the athletics and the need for students to perform and be able to play, so.
So yeah, the privilege of participating in extracurriculars must conduct themselves according to different policy. Is that what you're talking about?
Yep, because I think, again, they're student athletes, and I think it's important to emphasize that, especially with our focus on our athletic facilities and what we're kind of branding ourselves with.
Yes.
So,
And I like it. Well, it says they're ambassadors of the school district, and they are.
yes.
And it's pretty neat this year. They've started basically it's our student leaders, student ambassadors, and they're meeting with other conference schools, getting together. I don't know if it's quite monthly, but maybe every month and a half. And so they'll go to a central location and then bring various student leaders from the conference schools together to then just review whatever topics they might be covering. So one of the things that came about that were certain standards, like these gold standards of excellence or gold standards of behavior and conduct at events. was something that the group worked on and then took back to their buildings and their principals, and they're trying to implement them, get their crowds to participate in, et cetera. So just having the students involved and helping to raise that bar a little bit. So I think that's been a very well received and positive experience for our conference, for our students. Gives our students some ownership and some of that as well. It's been neat to see.
I think if we could acknowledge our athletes for their academics and have a program that actually shows that you get, yes, you were all state, but you were also all state academically. That would be great. If we could get that inside of our program. Maybe it already is, but
Yeah, I think we do have some of that. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
There's academic all states as well. And,
yeah. Okay, good.
Anything else that you guys wanted to discuss or saw in here that you wanted to just bring up? All right, and I mean, obviously, we still have the opportunity next time we meet or anytime in between, if there's something that jumps out at you between now and then. So we'll move to the superintendent report.
We'll start off with accommodations. A lot of accommodations this time. So congratulations to our 6 high school girls that qualified for the state wrestling at the first ever regional state qualifying high school meet. They are Alyssa Sanchez, Nellie Stagg, Emery Alvarado, Kylie Collins, Peta Garcia Vasquez, and then Sylvia Garcia Vasquez, who placed 3rd at the state meet. This has been an awesome first year of girls sanctioned wrestling for West Liberty and for the state. And I think this will be really neat for our ladies to look back on when they're a little older, 10, 20, 30 years down the road. And just to know the impact they had on pioneering this sport here in the state of Iowa. It's really taken off. It's just grown exponentially, and been amazing to see the involvement and enthusiasm and how well it has gone. So I think that's just, because of the girls wanting this and their participation, the state's done a very nice job of supporting it and running these tournaments. And so just really neat to watch this girls sanctioned wrestling grow in the state of Iowa. Also, congratulations to the following students: Kelsey Jones on the WMT Athlete of the Week. And then conference wrestling, we had Josh Zeman, River Valley Conference champion at 152 pounds, and we had Drake Collins, the River Valley Conference runner-up at 170. Wrestling will have their district meet this weekend, this Saturday. So we wish all the boys the best of luck at the district meet. I believe that district meet is then to go on to determine who goes on to state. Also that same day, this coming Saturday, we will be hosting our girls basketball team first round regionals here in our gym. And I believe that is Saturday evening at 7 o'clock. So if anybody's around and they can head on over to the gym and come support our Comets, I'm sure they'd appreciate that. And then the following Monday, the 13th, our boys basketball team will be playing in the first round of regionals as well. We're not sure on the side of that. So a lot of things going on, a lot of competition. Sports are wrapping up and getting into the playoffs. Fun times. Other accommodations, congratulations to Carla Velasco on being the recipient of a full tuition scholarship at Iowa State University. And we also have Emery Alvarado, had her semi-finalist interview last week for her study abroad program in Jordan. She had indicated that she felt pretty good about that, thought it went well. And then she's also applied for another program this summer in Washington, D.C. So she is a go-getter.
He is a rock
Motivated
star.
kid, yeah, for sure. Also, we have Mrs. Vernon would like to acknowledge Tanya Gindrich for taking on the role of buildings communication representative, part of our communications committee that we grew this year. And also our counselors for their hard work in addressing the increasing mental health needs of our students. through their classroom lessons on bullying, the importance of teamwork, and then individual differences. And then Mr. Ryan here wanted to let the board know that he's incredibly proud of every single staff member in both ELC and elementary buildings. They recently finished up their winter fast testing, which is a reading screener that you probably heard about. And for the first time in 4 years, they increased proficiency from fall to winter. I think that's a challenge because the bullseye also increases or gets, the target changes as well, gets a little more difficult. And so to have gains there is a testament to just the hard work, dedication, and determination of those teachers. He would specifically like to recognize the title special ed and ESL teams. That consists of Danita Anderson, Abby Alpin, Carol Klein, Lillian Ortiz, Sheila Pullman, Leslie Alvarado, Saida Rodriguez, Tara Lepic, Michelle Knowles, and Jordan Jewell, and then our instructional coach, Cindy Lopez. So great job, all of you. They put a ton of extra work administering the reading and math test this past month, giving the specific and crucial data that allows students to have laser focus on what each student needs in order to continue individual growth. So great job, elementary. Anything else see on the last test scores? Anything else on that, Kurt?
No, and now it's ELPA testing right now, but now it's from that data. What I was really excited about is teachers looked at how students were doing and have decided to adjust their instruction even more to try and get more individualized with the individual skills that students need, so that hopefully we can continue to see more and more growth in the spring. So they're doing a great job.
Outstanding. Thank you, Kurt. Thank you for sharing that. And then moving on to facilities, the elementary renovation project is really taking shape. They've completed the majority of the drywall installation in the elementary wing. And then we are going to add a 5th room to that remodel inside the elementary wing. Just to, while they're there, they're working on it. They're tearing things apart. And so we just figure get another sink, put in one of those rooms, and then do some flooring, install some of the LVT flooring to match the other rooms, and then work on the ceiling grid. And overall, then it should pretty well match the other rooms. The LC section of that is taking shape as well. You've been by there, they've put some of the exterior spray foam on the walls. And so that'll be ready for the masons pretty soon to get to work out there whenever the weather gets a little warmer, although it's probably been nice enough now that they can go out and lay some brick on that building as well. And then inside the progress continues. So I think they're making pretty good gains on the elementary and ELC facility. Things are still on hold for our athletic complex here until the ground thaws. So we're anticipating end of March, beginning of April, then we'll see some action going on out there. And then last, legislative updates. The legislative session is currently underway, as you've probably seen and heard. Just a lot of items there up for debate. As you know, they did pass the education savings account, AK vouchers. So we'll just be watching that closely to see what, if any effect that has on our school district and public ed. They also approved SSA state supplemental aid or allowable growth at 3% for next year. And while this doesn't really keep up with inflation, it's I think it's the second highest amount in the past 14 years. So they've been around 2.5. So it was nice to have the 3% allowable growth this year. Any questions? That's all I have.
Will we be able to do maybe a board meeting or a walkthrough sometime when some more progress is done over?
Absolutely.
Just to kind of, some of us don't go there very much, so it'd be kind of nice to kind of do a little walkthrough and stuff like that. I'm sure when.
Let me know
It's a
when we
little
can
bit
get that
warmer.
scheduled and make sure that we're not in the way or get everybody a hard hat or whatever's needed to be able to walk through there. Yeah.
Right on to
Is
us.
it too messy right now in there?
And I went and took a couple teachers through the other day.
I'd like to see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Miss Velasquez.
Don't fall in the hole.
Hard hat will be fine. Miss Velasquez, is she going into engineering, do you know?
No, I've not heard what her if she's declared a major or not.
You know, Becky? No?
Yeah, I'd heard engineering. too.
Engineering.
Yeah, so I hadn't heard she had looking at Iowa State, but I didn't know if she had made a decision yet or not.
Yeah. And then the individual attention is really the key then to the progress you've made in the elementary. It's really cool.
Thanks.
Yeah.
They've been doing a great job, and it's being able to have hiring Abby Alpin mid-year, as well as a couple of ESL teachers who were student teachers who decided to stay, has really helped be able to have more groups so that we can get smaller, so that we can get more individualized attention. We're not full yet on staff, but we've have 5. Brenda, Arthur Miller, and I are going to 5 job fairs at the end of the month. So hopefully find some special ed teachers and preschool teachers, and that to fill a lot of those other positions too. It should be great.
Good luck.
Thank you. Yes, a lot of talking.
Yeah, I think to your point on the vouchers, I mean, yeah, we're gonna keep our eye on it, but our intention hasn't changed, right? We've always said, whatever the legislation wants to do in terms of open enrollment or vouchers or whatever incentive to leave the district, if we make our place a place people want to be, which is the plan anyway, then none of these are relevant to us ultimately. And I think we've got some perks, right, to being a little bit more rural and our location and some of the stuff we've got going on. So I don't think that it's going to impact us heavily based on what I've read, but I definitely think we keep our foot on the gas, and then it won't affect us too much.
Yeah, absolutely. We're gonna continue doing what we do. We have a lot of great things going on here, great students, great staff. We have some momentum. We're heading in the right direction. I feel very confident about what we're doing here in the district, and yeah, you know, it is what it is, right? And there's a few options people have, and I really don't know if this is gonna have the impact they wanted it to have, where, you know, every student will have a choice. And I'm wondering if it's more now private schools even have more choice of who they can bring in or not. And hopefully it doesn't work that way. You know, if it works to the true intent, it should be that any child could go to any school, which is, you know, I guess essentially that's a plus. I mean, honestly, if you're not happy philosophically with the way we do things, you know, we can't please everybody, right? And that's, you know, it's any business anywhere. But, you know, I think we offer a very good product, and we can certainly meet a lot of people's needs and deliver a very strong education. So, yeah, we're just going to keep moving forward, and but we will monitor and keep an eye on things and just see how this is affecting us. But yeah, maybe unrightfully so. I was just really not that worried about it, but we'll keep an eye on it for sure.
Yeah, great. Thank you. Next item then is personnel.
One resignation there, and then 2 hires, all WLC specialists. Kirk just keeps hiring.
She keeps saying yes.
I will entertain a motion to approve personnel if there are no questions.
I'll make a motion to approve personnel.
And I will second it.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, carries. Future agenda items, next board meeting is February 20th. We will have consent agenda, budget guarantee resolution, the audit report, second reading of all the policies that we were mentioning earlier. And as always, if there's anything else you want to talk about, let us know and we'll get it added. With that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll move to adjourn.
And a second.
You said what was in it?
Mhm.
Oh, okay. I seconded it. I thought I didn't have to.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.